Hello, everybody. Thank you for having me at Werk It. Damn. Werk It. I love that work is spelled with the E because it means we're sassy and like we're working on our own terms. And I love hearing all that stuff about podcasts. I used to have a podcast. I miss having a podcast. I want to get back to it. I also need to go to the gym and find my belly button when I sit down. But my podcast was called It's Your Journey, Boo. And I did it with one of my really good friends, Lauren Gurr, who's hilarious. And we just interviewed people who had like odd jobs and how they got into those jobs. And we quit right before we interviewed. I wanted to interview this mom and daughter so badly. They're Jewish, they're Canadian, and they make kosher wigs for people's dogs. So it was like on that level where you felt like you were high, but you weren't. It was great. And Lauren was like this really cute little Ashkenazi nugget of love. And her dream job was to go to poor countries and teach women how to cook their placenta after they had a kid. Are you okay? We're all women. It's fine. Enjoy your muffin. And no lie, Lauren wanted to write a cookbook and she wanted to call it Placenta Yenta. So one day we will make that happen. So my mother is from Jamaica, my dad is from Haiti, I'm from Jersey, both equally exotic places that have the Zika virus. And I think about how different I am from my parents. You know, my dad's like this Haitian Renaissance man who's an intellectual. My mom's like a very awkwardly like shy, just painfully shy person from Kingston. And you know, I think about how she had to come to America and, you know, clean toilets for a living for $1.50 and serve pie at Woolworths and just leave everything she knew back home to try and start a new life. She's sort of like that movie Brooklyn, but the Caribbean remix. And she's so uncomfortable in her own skin, and I feel like she was always trying to give me advice, you know, to like be the person that she never was. She'd always tell me to be polite and be kind, don't be so loud when I laugh, hold my stomach in when I sit down, straighten my hair, I look more presentable. But then she'd whisper in my ear, don't take shit from no man. Be independent and have your own money. And my dad's advice was always read a lot of books and don't get pregnant. So at 17, like I knew I was too cute for Jersey, and I was like, I have to go somewhere else and be this exotic queen I know I can be. So I went to college in Miami, which was great because everything smelled like pineapple. And I decided to study communications, and my Haitian father, who is deaf in one ear and speaks 8 languages, he's crazy, crazy talent. I don't even know what ear he's deaf in. He always pretends he can't hear me. But he was like, why are you studying communications? You're American, you live in America, you know how to communicate. But, you know, when you're like 17, going on 18, you're going to college, you have to make all these decisions. You don't know what to do with your life, you know? I really wasn't good at anything. I loved TV. I wanted to work in television. That's all I could really talk about. I wasn't into sports, not with this chest. Politics, theater, none of it. I could like recap the fuck out of a Golden Girls episode, you know? And the only reason why I wanted to like even join the theater is because that episode of Golden Girls where they all joined the public theater and all ended up dating the same guy. Do you remember that? That was a good episode. So I wanted to be a journalist because that's what you do, right? When you want to work in communication. So I took this on-camera class at my university in Miami. And the third day in, my professor came up to me and he said, you know what? I don't think this is gonna work out for you. Honestly, I think you're just too fat to be on camera. So what you should do is take production. And I didn't even think twice. I'm like, oh, I have to be polite. He's my elder. He's my professor. He's been in TV longer than I've been alive. So I'm like, okay, cool. Thank you. Thank you so much. And so I just quit and went into production. And I took all the classes for production, and I started editing the local news while I was in college. And it was fine. It paid well. You know, a lot of tank tops, a lot of cargo pants. I don't know why. It's a look. It's what we do. And, you know, it was just kind of boring, you know, and I definitely wanted to do something different than my parents did with their office jobs. I didn't want something mundane. You know, I had to edit a lot of house fires and perp walks, a lot of B-roll of fat people from the neck down, which is so fucked up. I mean, can I say fucked up? Yes. So fucked up. Like, why are we getting this B-roll of these poor, unsuspecting people? But anyways, that's what I did. And, I would spend my Saturday and Sunday mornings editing for my producer Obit Reels. Back in the day, like, you know, it wasn't digital, so we had really big beta tapes. And so I would just sit in a dark room and edit Obit Reels, like just people just waiting for people to die. You know what I mean? It was so depressing. I'm like, I am too cute for this. So a lot of my friends had graduated from Miami and moved to New York City, and they're like, yo, we're editing here. We're making so much money. The clubs are open till like 3 a.m., 4 a.m. You should come here and get your drink on. I was like, that sounds amazing. So I moved to New York and started editing for a local news station. I won't mention them. Ding, ding, ding. And it was fine. It was fun. They were right. There was a lot of overtime. There was a lot of news. There was a lot of house fires. There was a lot of things happening everywhere. There was a lot of drinking. But I was still bored. I'm like, I don't want to be hungover all day and just like, you know, put this video together for someone who doesn't even care. So I wasn't really happy. But when you're in your early 20s, you don't really know what happy is, right? You're just trying to get through the day. Maybe have some Pedialyte, get over that hangover. But what I did realize was I had a lot of stories. When you live in New York City, all of a sudden you have stories, right? So I used to write these really long emails about my roommate at the time. She was like this really overly attractive hairdresser who was also like wildly insecure. And she loved dating skater boys. And I was like, all right, she has a type. I feel like that Avril Lavigne song, it's fine. But it was too much. Like, she was like my first and last roommate because she used to like have sex in the shower. I'm like, I need to get ready for work. She had like an all-white cat named Cocaine. I'm like, we gotta talk. And then she was obsessed with olive oil and she would always put it on her hair and her skin. So like all the knobs were really slippery. And the whole apartment smelled like salad the whole time. And I was like, I got to go. But I would write these stories of my day and people started forwarding them to each other. And my coworkers were like, oh my God, you should do comedy. This is so funny. And I'm like, I'm not gonna do stand up. You know, comedians just talk about how broke they are all the time. And I'm like, too cute to be broke. This is my whole like thing in my head. I'm like, I'm too cute to be broke. And I started going to stand-up shows, and there weren't a lot of females, and I'm just like, oh my God, why is it all men? Why are they all talking about their penises and what they want for their penises? I'm like, where are the women? So after a really horrible breakup with my college ex-boyfriend, who I found out didn't know how to read and that he cheated on me the whole time I was together with him, it's cool. We all need our eat, pray, love moment. And I read this advertisement in the Village Voice, and it says, do you have a story? Do you want to do stand-up? Do you want to tell your story? And I was like, yes, advertisement. I do want to tell my story. And then the next week, 9/11 happened. And I was working overnights at the time, so usually I'd go in about midnight and leave at 9:30 a.m. Well, 9/11 happened at 9:11 a.m. And that night changed my life forever. People always ask me, what was it like? What did you see? It was like watching a horror movie on my 2 screens in my edit bay with no windows and, you know, a really unhappy writer behind me with like a Diet Coke. And when it was happening, when it was all happening, my news director was running around the newsroom crying and screaming, did we get it? Did we get it? And I didn't even know what to get because I'm rolling record, but there's people jumping out of a building. Am I supposed to be getting this? I kept recording. I had to take the video and edit it, give it to her. She'd scream, there's a body part, there's a limb, get rid of it. okay. Then I'd keep editing. There's too much black smoke, I can't see anything. Why is the cameraman running? I'm like, because he thinks he's gonna die. I ended up leaving that day around 6 p.m. It felt like 3 days and also like 10 minutes. And when I left, September 12th, 2001, I was like, fuck this shit. Fuck what people think. Fuck what we're supposed to be. Just be who you are. I kind of had this moment where I felt like Uma Thurman's character in Kill Bill. Like I woke up from a coma and I'm like, everything must die. Not like the people at my wedding party, but just like doubt and fear. I'm like, get it away from me. September 13th, I decided to fuck wearing my hair straight, wearing Talbots and Ann Taylor Loft. I stopped wearing makeup to cover up my freckles. I stopped trying to complete like sentences in front of my bosses instead of saying, hey, you know what I mean, and walk away. I worked another 16-hour shift with the most horrible video. September 14th, rinse and repeat. And at this point, my news director went around to each editor and each writer and everybody else that worked on the floor and said, we're offering therapy, do you want some? And I was like, nah, I'm good, I'm gonna do stand-up comedy. September 14th, 2001, I started stand-up comedy. And I haven't stopped since. And it's been my therapy. And I have to say, there is a certain amount of freedom in not giving a fuck what everyone else thinks. Because at the end of the day, we're just trying to be. Now, at the time, NBC was merging with Telemundo to create this channel called Mundos, which was like a Spanglish channel. And you didn't have to be Spanish, you just had to be sassy and have flavor. I was like, that's me. So I was like, this is my moment. And I applied for a job because I knew everything about, production. And so I was like, I just want to do this. Like, I'm so tired of editing people who aren't as funny as me. So the EP gave me a job, and my first job was to interview Antonio Banderas for Once Upon a Time in Mexico. Have you heard of it? Probably not. Okay. I want to say I killed that interview, not to toot my own horn, but beep, beep. And I was so excited to watch the package air, I was just looking at that TV like, here's my moment. Oh my God, I'm gonna be like Mary Hart, but with brown titties, let's go. And when we got to my package, I was totally cut out of every scene. And somebody else voice-overed it, right? Yeah. So I talked to my EP, and she was like, it was a creative decision. I don't know what to tell you. Like, I think you're really funny, and, I think you're really bright. But I just think, you don't look that good on camera. You're a little bit too big. And then I was like, oh my God, okay, this is that moment again. And I didn't even know what to say or like how to process it. Like, my right eye got a heartbeat, and I was like, what? And I just stood up like I had road rage, like she just cut me off, and I was just like, well, I might be fat, but you can't fix ugly, bitch, and I walked away. And I just walked out. You know what I mean? I felt like Celie and Sophia in the cornfields. I'm like, you told Harpo to beat me, and I just walked away. Microphone drop. But I'm so glad she told me that, because that was the moment I needed to say, I am not gonna listen to you. I'm not gonna listen to anyone. I'm gonna listen to the voice I have inside me. And anytime anyone's like, do you have advice for comedians? Do you have advice for women who wanna do this? Remember, look, we're all insecure about something, right? But don't tell yourself no before someone else tells you no. When they tell you no, you just keep fucking going. okay? Life is short. Look what just happened in Orlando. We don't know what we're promised. You have to do what makes you happy. Don't ever live in regret. Oh my God, I sound like a Pinterest page, but hold up. Look, it's been 15 years and I've been working nonstop. I've been acting. I just played like an angry Latina soccer mom and a pilot. I'm not angry or Latina, but they thought I was. I was like, fuck it. You know, like, when you're not Blake Lively, you get called for all types of weird stuff. This is some of the stuff I've been called in for. An overweight, self-assured African-American woman, okay. 23 to 40 years old, that's my face. Think around the way girl, club girl, flashy, slutty, average looks, nice body, whatever you need, sir. Mixed race African American, not necessarily pretty, a struggling single mom who is rough around the edges. Real looking, unfortunate, but not too unfortunate. Someone is always gonna have something to say or put you in a little tiny box so they get it. I just show up and I'm like, whatever you need, I'm gay for pay, let's do this. And I just do my own thing. You know, when I was growing up, I had a lot of like Janet Jackson telling me to like, let's wait a while, but I wish I had Beyonce being like, who runs the world? Girls? That would have helped, I think. And I relied on my parents' advice for a really long time, but now I got some of my own. If they don't want to hear from you, let them hear about you. Bye, bitch.